Hello YouTube, in this video we're going to talk about yet another way to spot a fake natural, and we're going to use age and training experience for that. So you can meet people sometimes who have been training for a very long time but have little to no experience regarding training, and the opposite is also true. Just because you've been training 20 years does not mean that you have more experience than a guy who's been training 5 years. You have more practical experience, but anyone who's worked in corporate, any country, anywhere on earth, will tell you stories about guys who've been working for a company for 30 years and they have nothing to show for it. The way you apply yourself is also going to have a direct impact on the knowledge you get from it. And the more knowledge you get, the more you can share with others and the more you can be of use. In this case, this also means that someone who is very young or who hasn't been studying for a long time is going to be by default a little bit disadvantaged when it comes to training knowledge. And of course, now we have the internet, we have YouTube fitness, so you can gather a ton of knowledge and information very quickly. But to me, nothing replaces actual experience, the ability to apply it yourself to see the results on your body, because your body is special. We overlap on certain aspects, and there are certain studies that are going to be able to give you a pretty good understanding of certain movements, of certain methods, etc. But at the end of the day, it might not work for you. So this is where fake natural come into play, because steroids take away the need to spend a lot of time training. They take away the need to know anything about lifting. Why? Because certain areas of the body are going to develop whether you know how to target them or not, just by virtue of the hormones being extremely active and those muscle groups being extremely receptive. I personally have experience with people who are natural, and every time I meet someone who is natty and who has a good physique, we're talking impressive physique, lean and muscular, they're always either in their late 20s or somewhere around there, and they've always had years and years and years of training. And I know some people who have been training for longer than me, who have better bodies than me. I can accept that, and it's, for me, it's an inspiration because it shows that I'm just getting started. What I also see a lot is kids who are 17, 18, who are my size or bigger, and who started lifting a year ago. And they think that it's not suspicious. It is insanely suspicious. You can have the greatest genetics in the world. There is a limit to what you can accomplish in 1 year, especially in the midst of your puberty. I'm personally not a good example of what can be accomplished naturally at the beginning of your training, because I had a very low starting point. I started as a skeleton, and therefore, just for me to build a body that wouldn't break at the first gust of wind took me a long time. But normal people are going to start average and are going to climb the ladder faster. But you can only climb so fast. There's a limit to what can be accomplished. Why? Because muscle hypertrophy is a direct result of volume and overall tonnage ascribed to the muscle. So of course, the more time you have to work the muscle, the more volume it accumulates and the more it's going to grow. There are differences between individuals, but at the end of the day, that's the capital truth. The more squats you do, the more your legs are going to grow. The more curls you do, the more your biceps are going to grow, etc. So someone who's just been lifting for a year doesn't have that accumulation of volume. So where is all that size coming from? Well, it's coming from PEDs. We have plenty of studies that show that PED use without any exercise or training regimen is going to result in muscle hypertrophy. You can get muscular and get big sitting on your couch, depending on the dosage you use. So those kids who on top of that train, whether they know how to do it or not, are going to get ginormous. But it's just an illusion. And the issue with that is that usually all the kids or the teenagers gravitate towards that type of people, because those people always have an Instagram, they always have a YouTube, and they usually don't teach anything. They have nothing to teach because they don't know how to train. So what they they just sell their image basically. Whether it's for ego or not, I'm not going to say, but they do a lot of damage because other kids their age who might not have bad genetics see that and think, what the heck? I've been training as long as him and I look nothing like him. What am I doing wrong? And the truth of the matter is, most of these kids are not doing anything wrong. They might be following good programs, good protocols, they're eating right. They just need to be patient. I'm thankful personally for the fact that I'm old enough that YouTube fitness did not have an impact and influence on me during my formative bodybuilding years, because I might have ended like one of these guys, completely discouraged. You're 17, you're 170, and there's that guy who's 220 with massive traps, round shoulders, just looking like a pro bodybuilder, and he's telling you that the only thing he's done is the same that you've been doing, but you look nothing like him. So what goes on in your mind if you're not educated about steroid use and the prevalence of PEDs on YouTube fitness? Your brain really thinks that you either have bad genetics, which is going to discourage you because you're going to think, well, why would I even try? I have bad genetics, might as well give up, right? And then you never get anywhere. Or you're going to think, oh, I'm not doing something right. Let me try what that guy is doing. And usually those guys, because they grow off of nothing, do a ton of cables, they do very little compound movements, which is the opposite of what a natural should be doing. As a natural, you should be focusing on compound movements, complete them with isolation movements, and focus on progressive overload. This is the key to getting big, but it takes years. And the worst part about this is those kids who take those products don't make it. There's always the tale of the guy who started taking products early and who became a pro bodybuilder. And it is true. If you start early and you decide this is your life, then yeah, starting early is going to give you an edge because you're going to accumulate more cycles and you're going to let your body evolve, and that very high hormonal profile is going to make you massive. But if you want to be natty, or if you want to last a long time, or if that's a goal that you've ascribed to yourself, you're going to be damaged by these kids, and these kids themselves, for most of them, are not going to get anywhere because their health is going to get completely wrecked, or eventually they're going to realize this is not worth it, or they are going to realize there is no money in bodybuilding unless you're willing to do sketchy stuff. You cannot make a living out of it, almost no one does, and then they stop, but the damage that they've done to other people is done. And since the cycle is always going to repeat itself, and there's always going to be an 18-year-old who's going to jump on a bunch of drugs to get big fast, it never ends, because one of these kids can have a bad influence on 100,000 other kids. And then in the pool of those kids, some of them will start, and the cycle will repeat ad infinitum. This is why on this channel, I always promote natural bodybuilding. I'm always going to be very critical of PED use, and I'm always going to tell you to not do it. You don't need drugs to grow. So that's it for this video. This is how you spot a fake natty. Too big, too young, those two don't work hand in hand. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.